At my farewell party, my cousin Nate stood up, smirked, and raised his glass. "I guess this is my moment too," he said. "I just landed the lead role in a movie." And just like that, my send-off became his celebration. The room froze for a second, then erupted. My aunt clapped, my uncle hugged him, my mom beamed. Nate had always been her sister's golden boy. Somehow, his light always swallowed mine. I stood with a half-empty Sprite while good luck Evan balloons bobbed unnoticed. The cake sat untouched, its icing cracking. No one noticed when I slipped into the kitchen except the dog. Someone spilled soda in the living room. They asked me to clean it. Not Nate, me. I knelt on the floor while they toasted his big break. I wasn't angry, I was hollow. Later, Nate grinned at me. "You're next." "Man, don't be mad, I stole the show." I wasn't mad, I was done. The next morning, my mom wandered into the kitchen, still in her robe. I was already packed for my early flight. She froze when she saw what I'd left by the coffee pot, an envelope. "Evan," she whispered, "what is this?" I didn't answer. Inside was a copy of my bank statement showing $14,000 funneled into Nate's acting career. Coaching, headshots, flights, the authorization signature, hers. Attached was a printed email to Nate's agent. "I'm wiring the funds from Evan's account. He won't notice. He never asks questions." She went pale. I zipped my suitcase and walked past her without a word. By the time I landed in Berlin, the messages were waiting. "Mom, this isn't what you think. Please come home." "Nate, you're really going to throw a tantrum over a couple $1,000s? Grow up." A couple thousand. They'd stolen over 14 grand, and my silence had made it easy. I'd been the family's safety net, the invisible scaffold holding up the stage so others could shine. Not anymore. I ignored every call, every text. In Berlin, no one knew me as the extra cousin. I was just Evan, and I liked it that way. 3 weeks later, my phone lit up with a blocked number. I answered. "Evan," my dad's voice said. "Flat, we're flying out tomorrow. Your mother and Nate need to talk. This has gone too far." I laughed, bitter. "Gone too far? You mean me leaving after you stole from me? After Nate turned my farewell into his press tour? After I cleaned soda off the floor like a servant?" "It was a misunderstanding," he said. "It wasn't." "No," I said, my voice cutting through the room like glass. "It wasn't a mistake. It was betrayal. Call it what it is." The next day, my building's receptionist emailed. "Your family came by, left multiple messages. They wanted to be let up, but we followed your standing request and declined. They say they'll return tomorrow at 10 a.m. Should we block them again?" I didn't answer, but the next morning, I stood by the door and waited. At exactly 10:07, there was a knock. Mom stood there in a gray peacoat, her expression an even split between concern and control. Dad lingered behind her, hands stuffed into his pockets. Nate wore sunglasses, a scarf, and a smirk, looking like a celebrity who'd accidentally wandered into the wrong apartment building. "Hi, honey," Mom said. "Can we come in?" I stepped aside. Not for them, for me. I wanted to hear it, face to face. They sat stiff on the couch. I stayed leaning against the kitchen counter, arms crossed. No coffee, no small talk, just war. Mom started. "Evan, I made a mistake. I was under a lot of pressure. Nate's career was struggling, and you've always been so stable." Nate jumped in. "You didn't even notice the money missing. Don't act like we robbed a bank." I stared. "You took from me, and you used my name to do it." Dad finally spoke. "We're here to apologize." I raised an eyebrow. "But we also need to move forward." Mom added quickly. "We need this family whole again." There it was, need, not want, not we were wrong, just need, because I was the safety net, the one who paid for dinners, covered bills, never asked for receipts. "I'm not coming back," I said. Silence. "Don't be dramatic," Mom snapped. I laughed, sharp and humorless. "You forged my signature. You drained my account. You hijacked the most important night of my life. And when I didn't clap loud enough for Nate, you called me bitter." Nate rolled his eyes. "I didn't know about the money." "All right, that was Mom." I cut him off. "But you thought it was fair, right? Because I'm not a photo op?" "You've always been jealous," Nate shot back. I stepped forward, slow. "Jealous? Of what?" Of the time Mom put your headshot over my graduation diploma? Or when she gave you the master bedroom because your creativity needed space? Mom stood. That's enough. No, I said, it's not. They flinched, not at my volume, but because I'd never talked to them like this. You want truth? I said. I paid Dad's bills when he was laid off. I covered your copays. Mom, I bought your car, Nate, and the moment I stopped being useful, I was disposable. That's not true, Dad muttered. You knew, I said flatly. You just let Mom run the show. You thought Nate would make it big and save you all. I will make it, Nate snapped. Good, I said. You can start by paying your own bills. Mom folded her arms. We came here to make peace. No, I said, you came to reset the cycle. I went to my desk, pulled out a folder, and handed it to Dad. Inside, a notarized statement revoking their access to my accounts, a fraud report, and a list of stolen transactions. You wouldn't, Nate started. I already did, I said. You're blowing up the family over money? Mom asked, eyes wide. No, I'm tearing down the illusion that this ever was a family. I opened the door. I have a meeting. See yourselves out. If you walk away, Mom began. I'm not walking away, I said. I'm breaking free. They shuffled down the hall. The silence they left behind was louder than any slammed door. That night came the texts. Mom, I can't believe you'd do this to your own family. Dad, we flew across the world for you. Nate, you're overreacting. Then the Facebook post from Mom. We try to do everything for our children. Sometimes they forget who's been there the most. We raised a son, not a stranger, but God sees all. God sees all, yeah, and he keeps receipts. I didn't reply. Let them have their pity parade. While they curated sympathy online, I was rebuilding offline, starting with myself. He never said my name, but he didn't have to. Everyone knew. Then a tabloid ran it. Up-and-coming actor Nathaniel Green opens up about betrayal, family, and how Hollywood healed his pain. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my coffee. Hollywood healed his pain? I paid for his first 3 acting coaches. I covered his LA rent for a year while he found himself, but sure, he was the victim. Messages poured in from strangers, some defending him, some calling him spoiled. One girl wrote, "Thank you, my brother's the Nate in our family." I thought I was the only one who saw it. I screenshotted that one, kept it. A month passed, then 2, and something strange happened. Peace, no surprise calls, no guilt-laced texts, no being dragged into other people's messes. I woke up, made coffee, walked to work, went out for drinks with new friends, really laughed without glancing over my shoulder to see who needed saving. I started sleeping through the night. I signed up for German classes, joined a photography club, said yes to a date for the first time in 2 years, and every time I did something just for me, I remembered my mom's face when I said, I'm not walking away, I'm breaking free. Because it was never about revenge, it was about giving something back to myself. Then came the test, an email from Nate. Hey, just wanted to say I get it now, maybe not all of it, but enough. You were right, no excuses, no fake humility, just that. I didn't forgive him, and he didn't ask me to. I replied, thanks for saying that, hope you find your peace. That was it, the last page, and for the first time, I didn't feel like a background character in someone else's story, I felt like the author. Sometimes my hand still twitches toward my phone to send a photo, a joke, something only my family would get. Then I remember, there's no we anymore, and for the first time, that doesn't sting. It frees me. I'm not broken, I'm just untrained in betraying myself. They taught me to shrink, to nod, to carry their burdens and call it loyalty, to bleed quietly in exchange for crumbs of validation. But those days are over. They don't get to narrate my story anymore, I do. The hardest part wasn't cutting ties, it was letting go of the hope that they'd change, that someday I'd matter. When that hope died, peace began. Weeks later, I stood on a Berlin train platform, crisp spring morning, sun slicing through cold air. A woman bumped into me and apologized in German. I replied fluently. She smiled, I smiled back. It hit me, I belong here, not just in this city, in my own skin, in a voice that no longer shakes. Later, my old landlord emailed me a scan of a letter from my mom, 3 pages of guilt, nostalgia, and sugar disguised as love. The last line read, "We only ever wanted what was best for you. I wish you could see that you've changed." She meant it as an accusation. I read it twice, smiled, and deleted it. No reply, no closure, no performance. Because yes, I've changed. I no longer believe that blood entitles anyone to hollow you out. They used to call me the quiet one. I wasn't quiet. I was watching, learning, surviving, and now I'm louder than all of them, not in noise, but in the way I live. Last weekend, I hosted a dinner for new friends. We drank wine on the balcony, swapped music, book recommendations, and terrible dating stories. Someone asked about my family. I had one once, I said, but I upgraded. They laughed. So did I, because that's what healing sounds like. It's not always soft piano music in candlelight. Sometimes it's fire, burning bridges you were never meant to cross. Here's my truth. I'm not selfish. I'm not dramatic. I'm not too sensitive. I'm not the villain in anyone's broken fairy tale. I'm the one who said no, and meant it. If that makes me the black sheep, then I hope my will burns bright enough to light the way for the next quiet one. Moral: you don't owe anyone your peace just because they share your DNA. Being the strong one doesn't mean being the silent one. And sometimes, walking away isn't weakness, it's revolution.